In the last lab, we have learned how to load your raster data, vector data to your Jupyter notebook, and how to extract the raster data to raster data's value to your vector data, and also learned how to map them together. In this video, I will use the technique we learned from the last class, and we will also learn a little bit spatial analysis method to create a beautiful Tanaka counter in Python. The counter lines are the lines drawn on a map connecting the points of equal elevation. For example, here is the counter lines. Without a label, we do not know which part is the concave area, which part is the concave area. We do not know whether this area is a hill or a dry lake. By using the Tanaka counter, we can easily to figure out the concave on the convex area because we assign the light receiving slope as the white color and assign the shady hill slope as the black color. We also give our map a relief-like effect. It makes the map very beautiful. In this lab, we will learn how to calculate the aspect from the raster data. We will also learn how to generate counter line from the DM data. We will also learn how to reclassify the raster data and how to convert the vector data to the raster data. Then we will use the plot function to visualize the DM data as the Tanaka counter line. First, we need to upload our DM data. You need to use this mount button to mount your Google Drive with your Google Colab. Then you need to create a new folder and upload your DM data to the folder. Before we run our own function, we need to import some required libraries. The first two are the open source geospatial library. The third one is for operating the matrix. The fourth one is for plotting. We will use that to plot image and vector data. We also need to use a library which is called GeoPandas, but the Colab does not have that. So we need to install this library. Then we import that library. First, let's import our DM data. This string is the location of our DM data. We use the geo.open to open that DM data. Then we convert that to NumPy array. NumPy array is a 2D matrix, which is very common in the Python programming field. We can show the minimal value in this array and the maximum value in this array. Those two values represent the highest elevation and the lowest elevation of this area. We can also plot this 2D array. Here is the visualization result. After we import the DM value, we can calculate the aspect. We need to tell the program the aspect output location, and then run the DM processing function to calculate the aspect from the DM data. The last two parameters is to tell the program we need to assign values to all the cells. After we calculate our aspect, we can investigate the minimum value and the maximum value. The minimum value is 0. The maximum value is very close to 360, which means the range is from 0 to 360 degrees. We can also plot our aspect data. Although we cannot tell a lot of things from this visualization, but we know all the cells has a value now. After we have our aspect raster data, we can reclassify the aspect raster data. We reclassify the light receiving hill slope to 1 and assign the shading hill slope to -1, to -1. So first, we get a copy of the aspect array. Then we reclassify the hill slope to 1 or -1. We can examine our new array by print the minimum value and the maximum value. The minimum value is -1. The maximum value is +1. After we classify the aspect, we need to prepare our counter line data. So to prepare a counter line, we need to first define a shapefile and then generate the counter line from the DM data. So in this cell, we first define the shapefile, define the format, and define the schema of our shapefile. Then we generate our counter line data. After we create our shapefile, we can also print the shapefile and read the shapefile to the GeoPanda data format. This image is the visualization of the counter data. The red color means the high elevation, and the blue color means the low elevation. If you think this one is too large and cannot tell you the detail, you can also have a zoom in view. You can use these two functions, set x limits and set y limits, to give your visualization a new range. You can play with this parameter and create your own zoom in view. After we have our vector counter line data, we need to rasterize the vector data to the raster data, because we need to combine the counter data with the aspect data. So we need to convert them to the same format. We need to define a raster and then rasterize our data, rasterize our vector data to the raster data. So this part is to define the raster data and define the basic geospatial information of the raster. And then we can rasterize our vector data to the raster data. After this work, we can print our raster data. This image is the raster counter line data. So we can see this area is the high elevation area, and the dark color means the low elevation, and the dark blue, which means the no value area. So the next step, we need to combine the aspects and the counter raster to create our Kanata counter. We need to create the product of the counter line raster array and our aspect array reclassify result. We time these two together. In the aspect array, we already know we will assign 1 to the light receiving slope and the -1 to the shady slope. So if we times this one with the counter line raster, so all the cells in the light receiving hill slope will be positive value, and all the cells in the shady hill slope will be the negative value. Then we plot our DM value and the Tanaka counter array together. So here is the result. We can see a very clear relief-like visualization here. If you think this image is too large, cannot tell the detail, you can also use the X limit and the Y limit function to show a zoom in view. Now you have learned how to create Tanaka counter. Congratulations. Now you will have some challenge. The first challenge is you need to make your Tanaka counter map by setting the light source as the southeast corner. Because in the program I showed, I set the light source as the northwest corner. So you need to change some parameter to change the light source direction and create your own Tanaka counter. Then you need to compare this code with the Tanaka counter mapping method by using the ArcPy library. You can compare the difference between them. Which one would you like better? Why? If you are a graduate student, you also need to finish the challenge 3. Before this part, we just download some DM data and upload that to our Google Drive. But however, we also have some methods to obtain the elevation just from some function. We can use the SRTM library. The Colab does not have that, so we need to install that first, then import that library. Here, I show some example codes for getting the elevation. We use the getImage function to get the elevation of your interested area. And then I visualize the DM of this area. You can follow this code and finish your part. You may need to convert this 2D array to a TIFF raster format with some spatial reference information. And then you can read those TIFF by using the GDAL library. After you read your new TIFF, you need to convert your aspect raster data and counter line vector data from your own DM data. Then you can visualize your own Tanaka counter lines. So this is all we have learned today. Let me give you a little bit review. In today's class, we have learned how to import the raster data, how to create the aspect, and how to reclassify the raster data and create a counter line rasterization and do some visualization, combine several data together. Thank you.